I welcome to all our students of third first MBBS who are ready today to listen to surgery lectures. I am Dr. H.G. Vyas, Professor of Surgery. I express my gratitude to the Dean, Rural Medical College and HOD Surgery of Rural Medical College Surgery to providing me this platform to talk to you. You know, due to this COVID-19, there has been unprecedented challenges, and this has also thrown us an opportunity to innovate and challenge and the chance to overcome the challenges. Determination and continuity is required to overcome the challenges forced on us by any adversity. This mode of e-learning is an attempt to overcome the problem of closure of the educational institutions and social distancing required to check this spread. I take this opportunity to talk to you on the subject of lung cancer. The purpose of this lecture is that at the end of the lecture, the candidate should be able to describe etiology, pathology, clinical features, and management of lung cancer. If you see by this chart, it is clear that all these topics, the etiology, pathology, clinical features, and management of lung cancer, they come under cognitive domain. That means an MBBS student should know the all features which we are going to discuss today. We start with the epidemiology of the cancer lung. You know, cancer of the lung is a leading cause of death in both male and female. It accounts for 30% of all cancer deaths, more than cancers of the breast, prostate, and ovary combined. Overall survival, 5-year survival, is 40%. Most patients are diagnosed in advanced stage, so a therapy for a case of lung cancer is rarely curative. Diagnosis is slightly better in females than in males, those less than 45 years of age and those over 65 years of age. In developing countries, the reported incidence is low as the majority is adenocarcinoma, which is not usually related to the cigarette smoking. Here in this chart, we see the causes of death of cancer over the period of years. You can see latest data available to us is 2003. We see the different causes of death in men. Here you can see over a period of time the cause of lung cancer was the highest. At around 1992, when we realized that the cancer, there was undisputable evidence that the cancer is related to smoking, and the discouragement started coming on media platforms that this cigarette smoking should be discouraged. So the causes deaths from lung cancer started decreasing. Yet it still remains the most common cause of death from cancer. Similarly, in female, also the cancer of the lung and the bronchus remains the most common cause. Even it surpasses the breast cancer. And the troubling aspect is over the period of year, the incidence is increasing. Now, causes of lung cancer. It's very difficult for a cancer to give causes because there is always a multitude of causes. But it is here that we have indisputable evidence that the cigarette smoking is the primary cause of lung cancer. There are two types of lung cancers: squamous cell carcinoma and small cell carcinoma. Both of these type of cancers are extraordinarily rare in the absence of cigarette smoking. The risk escalates with the number of packs multiplied by number of years the person is exposed to cigarette smoking. The use of unfiltered cigarette increases the risk. The risk of lung cancer related to smoking declines with the cessation of the smoking. Never drops for those people who never smoked. Only 15% of lung cancers are not related to smoking, and majority of these are adenocarcinomas. Passive smokers have an excess risk of 24% of developing lung cancer compared to those who are not exposed to the risk of passive smoking. The passive smoking means your neighbor or your family member or your husband or your spouse are smoking and you do not smoke. Pre-existing lung disease increases the risk of 13% from the non-smokers. The mortality of lung cancer for individuals smoking more than 40 cigarettes per day is over 210 deaths per 100,000 population per year. When it is compared with the mortality of non-smokers, it is 4 deaths per 1,000 population per year. Now, e-cigarettes, which were introduced as a means to help smokers quit, they have become a status symbol, style statement, and they also cause the cancer. There are more than 400 brands of e-cigarettes available, which are none of them are manufactured in India, and they come in different flavors. But they are also, it is not correct to presume that e-cigarettes do not cause cancer. They cause cancer as well. Now, previous history of tuberculosis with secondary scar formation also has a high risk, and this is usually for squamous cell carcinoma. Other causes of cancer include exposure to asbestos, arsenic, and chronic components. Combination of cigarette smoking and asbestos is very dangerous. It is disastrous. Of the 300 chemicals in tobacco smoke, polycyclic hydrocarbon are the main chemical carcinogen. Once inhaled and absorbed, cigarettes cause DNA mutation by activation through specific enzymes. The whole aerodigestive tract is activated in smokers, such as carcinoma esophagus, larynx, pharynx, and oral cavity. They are all cancers of this are common in smokers. This diagram tells us the risk of developing lung cancer. Now, you see, the evidence is indisputable. Those persons who never smoked had no significant industrial contact, the risk ratio is 1. Against those who are cigarette smokers, if he smokes or she smokes half pack a day, the risk is 15. From half to 1, the risk is higher. 1 to 2, it is 42, and more than 2 packs per day is 64 times. Cigar smoker also has got a risk, so also is the pipe smoker. The ex-smoker also can, the risk does not decrease. Non-smoking female exposed to husband smoke carries a risk of 1.4 to 1.9% ratio. Asbestos worker who is a non-smoker has a 5 risk ratio, while a cigarette smoker has 92 times risk ratio. Uranium miner, non-smoker and smoker have got a very ratio of 7 and 38% respectively. Relative lung cancer patients, non-smokers 4% and smokers have 14 ratio for the risk of cancer. Now, normal lung histology. The lung has two components, tracheobronchial tree and alveolar sacs. The tracheobronchial tree is lined by pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar cells and mucous cells. Ciliated cells dominate. The mucous cells or the goblet cells, they release mucus which increase in number on exposure to cigarette smoking. These are mixed solitary type glands containing mucous cells, serous cells, and Kulczynski cells, which are neuroendocrine cells. The alveolar spaces contain type 1 and type 2 of pneumocyte cells. Type 1 pneumocytes cover 95% of surface cells of the alveolar wall, and type 2 pneumocytes cover 3%. In addition, clusters of the neuroendocrine cells are seen in the alveolar spaces. As everywhere, here also we have got, in the lung cancer also we have got a pre-invasive lesions. These are pre-cancerous changes which can be seen in respiratory tract. These are three currently recognized: squamous cell dysplasia and carcinoma in situ. A typical adenocarcinoma, hyperplasia, and diffuse idiopathic pulmonary neuroendocrine cell hyperplasia. The malignant lesions, there are two broad groups: small cell lung carcinoma and non-small cell carcinoma. And they are coming in a ratio of 1:4. That means the non-small cell lung carcinoma is 4 times more common than the small cell or old cell carcinoma. Small cell carcinomas are atypical carcinoid large cell neuroendocrine carcinomas, and they are called small cell carcinomas. They tend to metastasize early to the lymph nodes and by blood-brain speed. The median survival is measured in months. The tumors are very responsive to chemotherapy, such that median survival may be double, but they are rarely, if ever, cured. Surgery is rarely offered in case of small cell tumors or neuroendocrine cell tumors, unless it is very early stage. This slide gives us an idea of the minority cells. Small cells are in minority, while the majority are non-small cells, and they give rise to adenocarcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, bronchial carcinomas, and large cell carcinomas. And here you can see on this side there are different type of cells, ciliated cells, and goblet cells, and the different type, other type also are present. Non-small cell carcinoma. Non-small cell group of lesions, they are different from small cell lung carcinomas. In this includes the squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, which includes bronchoalveolar carcinoma and large cell carcinoma. Although these two tumors differ in appearance histologically, their clinical behavior and treatment is similar. They are thus usually regarded as a uniform group. Each type has got some unique features that affect their clinical presentation and staging. Staging also determines the outcome. The clinical features of carcinoma lung depends on the site of the lesion, the invasion of the neighboring structures, and the extent of metastasis. And there can be a persistent cough, weight loss, dyspnea, and non-specific chest pain. They can be divided due to primary tumor. That 50% of patients present as hemoptysis as their first symptom. There can be cough, which can be new or in the change pattern. There can be chest pain. There can be dyspnea and clubbing, hoarseness, and myopathies. Thoracic extension of the tumor will cause chest pain, superior vena cava syndrome, hoarseness, dysphagia, and symptoms arising from the compression of the brachial plexus and Pancoast tumor. Now, the symptoms that presented could be due to, other than what we have discovered, it could be due to metastasis, which are lymph node enlargements, bony metastasis causing bony pain, neurological deficits, skin and subcutaneous lesions. The systemic symptoms could be anorexia, weight loss, weakness, and paraneoplastic syndromes, which are unique to the lung cancer. Patients often present with advanced disease due to lack of symptoms at early stage. Now, one of the features here is this clubbing in a case of lung cancer. You can see this is in a case of. Now the symptoms, they depend, as we have said, depends on this size, location, and the production of hormones in case of neurocarditis. And that could be due to metastasis, and a small tumor, it can cause cough and palpitation and smoking. And if it compresses the nerve, it can cause pain, it can cause recurrent angina paralysis, and it can cause Pancoast tumor if it compresses a particular nerve. How should we investigate a case of lung cancer? The investigation should be followed by the clinical assessment of clinical symptoms. Now, in a symptom investigation, we should have X-ray chest, CCT chest, biopsy and CECT guided biopsy, bronchoscopy, endobronchial ultrasound, transbronchial needle aspiration, sputum biocytology, PET scan, and others like thoracocentesis and median. All these can be used depending on where is the lesion and what are the symptoms. In X-ray, you can find a nodule which is less than 3 cm or a mass 3 cm. The location could be peripheral in the case of carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, or it could be central in the case of squamous carcinoma. It could be single or multiple. If it causes endotracheal obstruction, endobronchial obstruction, it can cause a atelectasis of lobe or the lung. It can cause pneumonia by compression. And it could have pleural effusions and elevated diaphragm depending on the advancement of the chest. In a case of chest radiograph, you can have see chest radiograph showing the central lesion here in this area. You can see the central lesion. CT scan of the chest is very informative. It will tell us details in the nodule. It can tell us calcification, speculation. It will evaluate the extension into the adjacent structures, endobrachial, great vessels, pericardium, etc. And it will evaluate the adenopathy. It will also evaluate the upper abdominal pathology if there are metastatic lesions in the liver, in the kidneys, and in the adrenals. Here is a chest CT scan showing an empyema with a grossly thickened pleura. The CT can also be used to have a biopsy from the correct place. Percutaneous CT guided FNAC may give a good yield of cells of cytology diagnosis. Alternatively, a core of tissue can be obtained for histology. These techniques are best for larger and more peripheral lesions. Pneumothorax is common following a CT guided biopsy, but it rarely requires a post-intercostal tube drainage. The contraindications for biopsy include poor respiratory result when even a small pneumothorax can be hazardous. Such cases, biopsy should be avoided. Now, if there are paratracheal lymph nodes, they can be very easily seen in a CT. Here is one CT which shows that. Now, CT guided transthoracic nodal biopsy can be taken when there are peripheral regions away from the diaphragm. They carry some risk and they may be beneficial for poor operative candidates. There are false negative results which we must keep in mind. So the diagnosis can in the X-ray we can have a coin lesion on chest X-ray, non-calcified nodules on CT scan, and infection can also cause the lesions which are caused by the lung cancer. So tissue biopsy either from a bronchoscopy or CT guided filtration for histopathologization is required. Now here we have got a bronchoscope which we can take if there is a arising from the bronchus, or this can be used to take a biopsy across through this needle which can cross the bronchial and take from the adjacent lymph nodes. This is a video flexible bronchoscopy. You can see this, it can go now. It is an excellent endobronchial disease. For excellent disease, you can take a brushing, and bronchial biopsies can be taken. Transbronchial biopsies of large peripheral lesions can be taken, and evaluation of obstruction of stent placement and bronchotherapy can be used in this by using this method. You can see the diagram, the bronchoscopy. Then we have got endobronchial ultrasound. Here the bronchoscope is used. On the tip of the bronchoscope we have got a ultrasound head. This can identify the lymph nodes outside or the lesion outside that, and it can subsequently can allow needle to take a biopsy through the bronchoscope. So this is an advancement. This allows biopsy of subcarinal paratracheal lymph nodes. It's helpful for staging and it carries minimal risk to the patient. Sputum cytology. It is helpful in central lesions. With the 3 samples, 80% detector rate of centrally located tumors, but peripheral lesions may be missed in 50% of the cases. Now, PET scan, it's a marker of active glucose metabolism. It can detect lesions of up to 0.8 centimeter. It is indicated for staging lung cancer and can be used to work up of solitary pulmonary nodule. 90%, it has a 95% sensitivity and 85% specificity. Unfortunately, there are very limited centers which have this facility. Now, other diagnostic tests for a lung cancer, either it is thoracentesis or surgical resection by an open thoracotomy or VETS. Mediastinoscopy also is recommended prior to thoracotomy for mediastinal lymph node lymphadenopathy staging or for central lesions and large peripheral lesions. Histologically, a lung cancer can be squamous cell carcinoma, can be adenocarcinoma, a small cell carcinoma, or an alveolar cell carcinoma. In squamous cell carcinoma, which are majority, more than 60%, there is a cavitation. It is centrally located. It has got intravascular invasion, it has got intracellular bridging, keratinization, keratin pills, and nests of cells. These are hallmarks of squamous cell carcinoma. These are also called non-small cell carcinoma. They are centrally located, as you can see, they are centrally located. That way they can cause a pancreas tumor also, and they are associated with smoking. The adenocarcinomas are peripherally located. The large cells can be throughout, and the bronchial carcinoid also can be throughout. Now, small cell carcinomas, they are minority in number. For small immature neuroendocrine cells associated with smoking, develop near main bronchus, grow fast and rapidly metastasize, commonly large and in multiple sites. Bronchoalveolar cell carcinoma are a subtype of adenocarcinoma. There is a preservation of alveolar architecture and they spread through the airways and may present as unresolving pneumonia. Adenocarcinoma is less common than the squamous cell carcinoma. It is more in females and in non-smokers. It has got a peripheral location, it has got a granular formation, and it produces mucin. A large cell carcinoma is poorly differentiated carcinoma and the diagnosis is by exclusion. It has got large cells, abundant cytoplasm, large nuclei with prominent or vesicular nuclei. Neuroendocrine tumors. These detailed immunohistochemical and electron microscope studies are needed to accurate diagnosis of these tumors. Recently, these tumors have been reclassified into neuroendocrine hyperplasia and 3 grades of carcinoma. So you have got a hyperplasia and then you have got a atypical carcinoid cells, large cell type and a small cell type. Paraneoplastic syndrome. Lung cancer is associated with a separate set of symptoms for which there is no explanation. We call them paraneoplastic syndromes. Majority of symptoms are called up by small cell lung carcinoma, including endocrinopathies. The syndromes may produce symptoms even before the symptoms of primary tumor, leading to early diagnosis. Their presence does not influence susceptibility or the potential for successful treatment of the primary tumor. Symptoms usually abate with successful treatment and recurrence may be heralded by paraneoplastic symptoms. Common paraneoplastic syndromes are hypercalcemia syndrome, which is seen in small cell carcinoma, Cushing syndrome seen in small cell, Eaton-Lambert syndrome seen in this, and anti-diabetic hormone seen in small cell. Now, as a summary, we have got a small cell carcinoma and non-small cell carcinoma. A small minority, small immature neuroendocrine cells. While non-small cells are most common, there are four categories: adenocarcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, carcinoid tumors, and large cell carcinomas. Adenocarcinomas form glandular structures and they generate mucus. Squamous cell are square-shaped cells and they produce creatine. The carcinoid tumors from mature and neuroendocrine cells, and large cell carcinomas form large glandular and squamous differentiation. The diagnosis, evaluation and staging. In a patient with either histologically confirmed lung cancer or pulmonary lesion suspected to be lung cancer, the assessment of patient must look at three areas: primary tumor, its biological type, presence of metastatic disease, functional status of the patient, that is, ability of the patient to tolerate pulmonary resection. Surgical diagnosis and staging. For this, we require median stenoskopy, median stenotomy, VATS, or thoracotomy lymph node. Lung biopsies are aimed at establishing a tissue diagnosis and assessing the degree of spread. That way, we can assess the staging of the disease. Histologically prove the status of medial nodes may be very important to avoid unnecessary thoracotomy for incurable cancers, and conversely to avoid denying surgery to patients whose lymph nodes are enlarged but benign. So this becomes an important tool to exclude those who are surgery for in those who are really advanced but do not show and can indicate surgery where the lymph nodes are enlarged but are benign in nature. Now, TNM staging as everywhere is also helpful, in which the T means tumor size, it is 0, 1 to 4, and lymph nodes N is spread to lymph nodes, particularly to mediastinal hyaline nodes and metastasis. This is the lymph nodes and the lesion. The lesion is T1 and the lymph nodes, if there you can see T2 and 0 and 4. It depends on where is the location, if it is peripheral or it is central. Now in T2, this involves the bronchus and the nodes there can be present. There could be intrapulmonary or hyaline lymph nodes involved. In the stage 3A, we have got a more than 3 cm lesion in this, and there is superior sulcus is involved and peripheral tumor involving the chest wall with intrapulmonary lymph nodes. 3A. In 3B, we have got a tumor which is more than 3 cm. It involves the ipsilateral hyaline and mediastinal lymph nodes, and involvement of ipsilateral and mediastinal collateral cervical lymph nodes and make it T4 and 3. Non-small cell cancer T stage. T1 less than 3 cm contained within the visual pleura. T2 more than 3 cm and 2 cm away from carina, invading the visual pleura or lobar obstruction. T3 any size, extension into the chest wall, diaphragm and mediastinal but not great vessels, or less than 2 cm from the carina or atelectasis of the entire lung. T4 any size invading into great vessels, heart, trachea, esophagus, vertebra, main carina or malignant perineum. Now, non-small cell nodal stage, N0 no nodes, N1 ipsilateral hilar or branchial lymph nodes, N2 ipsilateral mediastinal subcarinal lymph nodes, N3 contralateral hilar, contralateral mediastinal or supraclavicular disease. This is staging and TNM correlation. Non-small cell lung carcinoma treatment. When it is confined, a lobectomy can be sufficient. Adjuvant chemotherapy, that means the treatment includes the surgery in selected cases, adjuvant chemotherapy, combination of chemotherapy with radiotherapy. Surgery. Only stage 1 and stage 2 are amenable to surgery. In this group are T1 and T2 with or without node 1 involvement and T3 tumor without animal involvement. Only 15% of cases they come into resectable stage. The surgical resection could mean lobectomy, sleeve resection, or even pneumectomy. Pneumonectomy is rarely performed except for large central tumors involving distal vein bronchus. Now, just to recapitulate, the treatment of lung carcinoma varies by category and stage. If the surgery, if it is amenable, you remove as much of the tumor as possible along with the surrounding margins. Then it can be chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and radiation therapy. Now, surgical approaches to a case of lung cancer, it could be a thoracotomy. The lung of the corresponding side is not given oxygen or air, ventilated, and the other single lung anesthesia can be given. The position adopted are different for different location of the lung. It could be on the right side, it could be right thoracotomy. On the left side, it could be left thoracotomy. Or even there are advanced cases in which we can have a video-assisted thoracic surgery in which no thorax need not be opened and a mini laparoscopic type of laryngoscope is introduced and then hand instruments are used. So this can be having a least postoperative trauma, but it is applicable only in selected cases. For anterior cases, mediation approach, we have to do a vertical sternum splitting incision. The postoperative care, the thoracotomy is a very extensive surgery, and we have to have a diligent or a dedicated postoperative care. There can be problem of infection and fluid overload, which are to be avoided. Drains are to be removed after air leaks have settled, and the mobilization and breathing and exercises and regular physiotherapy are carried out. Complications following lung resections are bleeding, respiratory infection, persistent air leak, and bronchopleural fistula. In the case of stage 3 lung cancer, neoadjuvant therapy followed by surgery if there is an improvement in the stage 4 to 5 weeks later. Excision includes the lower trunk of the brachial plexus, the stellate ganglion, and chest wall along with the lobectomy. If the patient is deemed unfit for major resection, limited resection can be applied to the peripheral T1 and T2 tumors. Patient can be treated with definitive radiotherapy 60 to 65 GY if limited resection cannot be tolerated. Metastatic lesions, stage 4 disease, the treatment is chemotherapy. Patient with single-site metastasis of brain may be encountered especially adenocarcinoma. The brain metastasis can be resected as well as the primary tumor, provided it is early. Metastatic lesions in the lung. Resection must include all macroscopic tumor margin plus embolic resection of adjacent involved area, chest wall, diaphragm, or pericardium. Multiple higher lesions may require a lobectomy. Pneumectomy is rarely indicated. Resection by either open thoracotomy or VETS is the procedure which can be adopted. Prognosis will depend on the stage. If the pre-surgical staging is stage 1, the 5-year survival is 56 to 67%. It falls to 39 to 5% when the stage is second. In third A, it is 23%, and stage 3B is 10%. Histological type also determines the prognosis. Squamous cell carcinoma carries a 5-year survival of 35 to 50%. Adenocarcinoma carries 25 to 45%. Adenosquamous carcinoma 20 to 30%. Undifferentiated 15 to 20%. And small cell which are very aggressive, they carry 0 to 5%. Small cell lung cancer staging is limited. 30 to 40% of small lung cancer confined to the hemithorax, mediastinum, and ipsilateral supraclavicular lymph nodes within the confines of radiation port. Extensive 67% small lung cancer are extensive and they have any distant spread. The treatment untreated 1.5 to 3 months median survival, limited with chemotherapy and radiotherapy. 15 to 20 months median survival. 5-year survival is around 10%. Extensive chemotherapy, the median survival is 7 to 11%. 5-year survival is less than 1%. Chemotherapeutic drugs for non-small cell, we have got a 2 drug regime, Cisco and carboplatin, and one other taxoterine and gemcitabine. For small cell, we have cisplatin and etoposide. There are biological agents, Tarceva, epidural growth factor inhibitor, and never smoking woman, this Avastin. So they are also tried in some cases. Take home points. Screening for lung cancer. Lung cancer is #1 cancer cause of death for both men and women in this state. 5-year survival for all patients with lung cancer is 14%. Symptomatic lung cancer is generally at an advanced stage, stage 3A or B or stage 4, and is associated with poor long-term survival. In high-risk individuals defined as smokers, more than 50 years of age, low-dose sparsity is capable of detecting pre-symptomatic and early-stage lung cancer. Sputum cytology is best for detecting centrally located cancers of squamous cell histology. Extensive research underway to identify sputum markers of early cancers and pregnant cells. In summary, treatment varies by categories and stage, and this is surgery, chemotherapy, and immunotherapy. In conclusion, lung cancer associated with cigarette smoking is proved statistically. However, adenocarcinoma usually is an advanced stage involving the chest wall is not uncommon. Lung cancer is to a very extent preventable, and that is by stopping the smoking. Here is a summary of this lung cancer, that this cell types, ciliated, non-ciliated, goblet cells, or this, and then types of carcinoma, the cause, how they cause the symptoms, and the types of surgery. This we have type of treatment we have discussed. And thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.